What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. Another Secret Service narrative completely destroyed and atomized today as the doors have been blown off one of the biggest lies that the Secret Service has been telling to protect their asses about the assassination attempt on President Trump, where President Trump took a bullet to the head. Look at this footage and tell me if this does not look like an inside job, cover-up, setup to get Donald Trump killed. The Secret Service has held, up to this very moment, that the ridge line of the roof was acting as a protection against their snipers who were in position to shoot at Thomas Crooks, but they couldn't see him because he was over the roof line, right? And this, I guess it makes sense if you're judging the angles, and if he was laying on his belly, and if he was crawling up the roof, and if he was really well trained and kept super low, and his profile maybe wouldn't have been exposed and wouldn't have had a shot for Secret Service snipers to hit. That's a lie. All of it. As you can see here in this footage, filmed from one of the victims that day who was shot twice. This is his cell phone footage. The narrative has now been destroyed forever. Shooter Thomas Crooks can be seen clearly lurking on the rooftops minutes before the shooting. Secret Service has held that the snipers could not see him. This is now proven false, ladies and gentlemen.
A shadowy figure that appears to be moving on the roof across from the stage where former President Donald Trump was speaking back on July 13th. We know from the FBI, would-be assassin Thomas Matthew Crooks traversed on roofs that were about 150 yards away from the rally stage. So perhaps this is Crooks who was captured in this video. In the meantime...
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if it wasn't Crooks, then there's a second shooter. Look at Crooks right there. Full body exposed. Now, for anybody who's going to say, wow, that's a tough shot, or it's kind of hard to see. First off, you're filming with this is being filmed with like what looks like a cell phone camera. Not exactly sure, but it looks like a cell phone camera based on the quality. Not even that good of a cell phone camera, to be honest. This is filmed by somebody who doesn't have the type of training or scopes the Secret Service has, and hasn't been alerted that there is a strange and suspicious individual who's been lurking around the building with a backpack and potentially a firearm. So obvious was Thomas Crooks that in the video released earlier this week,
this is no trespassing.
We're just
sorry.
lower the volume here because it's not really germane to the video itself. You can see here, law enforcement rush over, clear out the area around the building. This is the AGR building. This is the building that Crooks fired from. And law enforcement surround the building. So law enforcement surrounds the entire building. They know Thomas Crooks is up on the roof. This is how obvious the guy was. And now we can see here that Thomas Crooks was visible with the naked eye. Secret Service snipers, we've spoken with them. Secret Service snipers are trained up to 2,000 yards. It is standard operations to be able to hit something 1,000 yards away. 1,000 yards, 1,500 yards away. These are standard op. So tell me that you wouldn't be able to take out Crooks from this position. Look at the guy. You can see his head and shoulders in this shot. Let's go back. You can see the head and shoulders of Thomas Crooks right here. Look at this. You can make out his entire upper torso. This is how obvious Crooks was. And you can see him over here. You can see his head bouncing and running. You're going at a very quick clip, unless that's not him. Unless there were second shooters, unless there are other people on the roof. And you know who'd be able to, what would be really great to determine that? A drone. Having a drone that could have seen overwatch of the roof to see who was all up there. But the Secret Service wasn't flying a drone that day and turned down local law enforcement with drones. That's strange. Nonetheless, presumably a sniper team on the other side of the roof would have been able to take out Thomas Crooks. So let's go through all of the reasons, all of the ways that Thomas Crooks was actually allowed to take the shot. Because this is really remarkably important to the full narrative here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, breaking right now, video from Trump assassination attempt victim's point of view shows figure moving on the roof moments before gunfire. This is a full minute. You can go back in the Trump speech and listen to what he's saying in this clip, and then listen to what he's saying in this clip, and then line it up with the speech.
Still keep breathing up for a couple of minutes.
It's like a full minute before any shots rang out. This video taken at 6:08 p.m. on July 13th. Here we go. 6:08 p.m. Well, that's 3 minutes actually from whence the firearm began to ring out shots. Deadly shots that killed members of the political rally, hit President Trump in the head, and critically wounded 2 other rally goers. Thank God that's all. It could have been a much larger bloodbath. Officials believe gunman Thomas Crooks began shooting with a collapsible AR-15 style rifle 3 minutes later. Oh, okay. So you could see him on the roof. You can see here in the images. On the roof, you can see full body and torso. Secret Service said that they had no line of sight on the guy. Yet this man, who seems to be in his 70s or 80s, was able to see him with a cell phone. A reminder, ladies and gentlemen, we were first lied to about the rooftop. The then Secret Service director said it was a sloped roof, so it was dangerous, and that's why we couldn't have somebody up there. Then old members of Congress, 70-year-old members of Congress, were walking around the roof showing us that it wasn't sloped. I've been on that roof. It wasn't sloped. I've pushed wheelchairs up steeper inclines than that roof. Eli Crane went up on the rooftop and showed us not only that strange piece of evidence, but also this piece of evidence, which is the room where the counter sniper team was supposed to be stationed. This room, of course, would have perfect overwatch of the actual rooftop. So after all of the other jackassery and tomfoolery of that day, at the very least, you'd be able to see Thomas Crooks scampering along this roof and take him out. But according to our sources, the snipers were emptied out of that room. Who gave that order? According to our reporting, the 3-man sniper team in that room left and did not have overwatch. So Thomas Crooks was able to run up and down this rooftop. Also, people have cell phone footage of Thomas Crooks wobbling around on the rooftop minutes before the shooting. This is how obvious the guy was. Somebody from the ground could have taken him out. Members on the ground saying he's got a gun, he's got a gun. Being able to film him clearly as he lumbers across the roof. Not a particularly athletic guy. As he lumbers around the roof. The Secret Service also, apparently, were instructed that their local counter-sniper teams to set up at ground level looking into the crowd, but not at an elevated position above the AGR building where Crooks tried to assassinate Trump. Why wouldn't you want to have it in an elevated position? Why wouldn't you be set up on the water tower? Dude, my entire timeline right now is this crazy video. The man who was shot, name is James Copenhaver. One of the bystanders, he was shot twice, critically wounded. Clearly shows Crooks' head scurrying around the rooftop. Secret Service blew it. Crooks was indeed the shooter. New video shows shadowy figure moving on the rooftop before assassination attempt. This is wild. This video was obtained by Fox News. The video is 3 minutes before there was anyone opening fire. Who was on the roof with Crooks? I mean, wouldn't that be nice to know? But to know that, you'd have to have drone surveillance. You'd have to have somebody on the water tower. You'd have to have somebody in the sniper's nest. But all those positions vanished. Very suspicious. Very strange. Very convenient, by the way, if you actually wanted President Trump to get shot. People need to be prosecuted for this. That's exactly right. Man filmed walking on roof at Trump rally. That's just crazy. He was right there in plain sight. How did they miss him? Look, everybody can see Trump assassins setting up a rifle on the roof. It's even visible with cell phone footage. Highly trained Secret Service snipers couldn't, who are trained out at 2,000 yards, even though they knew there was some suspicious guy with a rangefinder. The more we learn, the more it looks like a setup. My entire feed is this. You're telling me some guy literally running across an unsecured roof at the Secret Service didn't pull Trump off stage? Yeah. Heads need to roll. This is crazy. This is my entire feed. Really unbelievable that Secret Service missed this after Acting Director Rowe's defensiveness in yesterday's Senate hearing and him personally allegedly denied several requests from the Trump team to enhance security. The American people have to wonder what's going on. Incompetence or something worse. That's right. Public servant, combat veteran. Yeah, the something worse. You know, the something worse is something that Marjorie Taylor Greene asked. Amazing how often on this program we say, Marjorie Taylor Greene was right. When she said, did somebody give the order to kill Donald Trump? Was there a stand-down order? And is there a plot to kill the president? You know what? When you run out of options and all of the evidence points to one conclusion, no matter how uncomfortable that conclusion is, you have to just say, well, that's probably it. Okay? Occam's razor here. Here's MTG.
People under your command did not consider him to be a threat, yet people in the crowd knew he had a gun and considered him to be a threat. That means that you are a complete failure as the director of the Secret Service, that people under your command don't perceive a man laying on a roof with direct line to the president with a gun. They don't perceive that to be a threat, yet the people in the crowd do. How is that possible?
That's the last question, but please answer the question, Ms. Director.
I'm not certain at this time how the information from the people in the crowd was relayed to any law enforcement personnel.
No, you knew, that everyone knew. The people there knew that there was a danger. They knew there was a threat to President Trump, and it was allowed to happen. Was there a stand-down order, Ms. Cheadle? Was there a conspiracy to kill President Trump?
Absolutely not.
Then how did this happen? And why are you still sitting here not turning in your letter of resignation?
Last question, but please answer, and then I'll recognize Ms. Presley. Please answer the question. Director.
That is what we are investigating to determine.
We're waiting for your letter. We are waiting for your letter of resignation, and you really need to consider doing that before you leave today.